Wow, friends, a very important announcement was just made by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on the next spending bill. Many Americans will be affected by these new changes that have been proposed by Democrats and Republicans. Our lawmakers have been discussing future plans to provide more financial assistance to low-income households, and $2,000 relief checks may be on the way for all eligible Americans. So there are many details, friends, to cover in today's video. So do make sure to watch until the end of this video because I will be bringing you up to date on everything that you need to know. To say thank you for joining me here every day when I post a video, I'm giving away 4 $75 Walmart gift cards every week. Please make sure you enter the giveaways by clicking and liking several of my videos and also commenting below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you comment on, the greater your chances of winning the Walmart gift card giveaway.
The price of groceries and school supplies continue to rise, hurting our families just as children are going back to school. But instead of addressing the rising cost of everyday goods, Democrats and the Biden administration continue to push for more legislation that will make these problems worse. The Inflation Reduction Act, which I like to call the Income Reduction Act, did nothing to help Iowans who are struggling to make ends meet. Instead, several $100 billion will be spent to fund partisan pet projects like doubling the size of the IRS. And less than 2 weeks after the Income Reduction Act was signed into law, President Biden announced his student loan forgiveness plan, which will cost hard-working Iowans and Americans even more. We need to increase domestic energy production to lower energy prices and curb our dependence on other nations, and we need to enact policies that allow Americans to keep more of their hard-earned paychecks. Inflation, unlike what you saw this weekend on 60 Minutes, where it was poo-pooed and downplayed, inflation is an issue every single American is facing right now. And the Biden administration has made it abundantly clear that fixing the problem is not a priority. Thank you, and I will now yield to Representative Tony Gonzalez.
So friends, there have been big developments on the 4th stimulus package. Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf was joined by Representative Sarah Innamorato to continue calling on Pennsylvania's Republican-led General Assembly to finally take action and support Pennsylvanians by passing legislation for the $500 million Opportunity Program. That program would send $2,000 checks directly to Pennsylvanians in need, using money that the Commonwealth already has in the bank. Governor Tom Wolf said in a statement this week, "This money will make a life-changing difference for families and communities across the Commonwealth, providing a much-needed buffer against prices that are artificially and temporarily higher due to inflation. Let's put this cash back in the pockets of Pennsylvanians to help cover the higher costs of gas, groceries, and everything else." Through the Opportunity Program, Pennsylvania householders with an income of $80,000 or less would receive direct payments of up to $2,000. First introduced in February with the proposal to use the American Rescue Plan Act funds, Governor Wolf's $500 million Opportunity Program now proposes using general funds and has the support of Democratic members who have also submitted co-sponsorship memos in the House and Senate, signaling their intent to reintroduce legislation to fund this program. Despite wide public support, the Republican-led General Assembly chose to not appropriate funding for the program during budget negotiations. So today, Representative Innamorato echoed her colleagues' support for the direct payment program. Friends, this is very exciting news to report. We are finally beginning to see new plans to send out stimulus relief to millions of Americans. Friends, the key word for this video is Prince Edward Island. If you would like to enter tomorrow's Walmart gift card giveaway, please click and like several of my videos and then comment below this keyword, which is Prince Edward Island, and additional keywords of any video of mine that you watch. And do make sure, friends, that you are subscribed to my channel. Senate Democrat Joe Manchin also recently pushed back against his Republican colleagues, voicing opposition to his permitting reform deal because Senator Manchin helped Democrats pass a party-line tax, climate, and health care package last month. Senator Manchin said during an interview, "This is not about me. I know the Republicans' number one item is permitting reform." Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer promised to attach Manchin's permitting reform bill to a government funding measure this month, in exchange for the West Virginia Democrats' vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which included sweeping tax, climate, and health care provisions that Democrats had been trying to pass for many months. But Senate Republicans are now mostly lining up against the bill, which aims to speed up environmental reviews and other measures to approve energy projects much quicker, with some stating that they do not want to give Senator Manchin a reward after he helped Democrats pass their partisan agenda. The permitting reform measure also faces opposition from dozens of progressive House lawmakers who raised great concerns about the bill's potential impact on climate change and the environment. Senator Manchin portrayed the legislation as bipartisan by arguing it would increase energy supply levels, helping to bring down gas and home energy prices. Senator Shelley Moore Capito, Senator Manchin's home state colleague, has indicated she will vote for the bill. Many GOP senators see her embrace as a result of a provision that would approve the completion of the Mountain Valley Pipeline. It is a natural gas pipeline that would span more than 300 miles across West Virginia. But that provision drew criticism from Senate Democrat Tim Kaine, who voiced opposition to Senator Manchin's deal because the approval would include 100 miles of pipeline through his home state. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi signaled again her support for the effort by Senator Joe Manchin as well. So when asked about the situation, Nancy Pelosi told reporters, "We'll have to see how it comes back from the Senate, and there may be some room for negotiation. But I'm not walking away from $360 billion in support for saving the planet." The House Speaker last week signaled she could back the Manchin deal if it was included in a Senate funding bill. Congress is racing to pass a short-term spending measure this month, and without any congressional action, large parts of the federal government will shutter on October 1st, 2022. Democrats are hoping for the Senate to begin the process of moving the spending package through Congress, although GOP opposition to Senator Manchin's proposal has raised significant questions as to whether permitting reform can move through the upper chamber. So, dear friends, what are your thoughts on what's going on in our government? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Well, my awesome and beautiful friends, that is the end of my daily stimulus update video for this weekend. Thank you so very, very much for joining me here every single time I post a video. To say thank you, I'm giving away the 4 Walmart gift cards every week. Please remember to enter the keywords in the comment section below for each video, and do stay tuned. I'll be announcing a winner. Thank you, my friends, and have a wonderful and blessed Sunday. Alrighty, everyone. So the Internal Revenue Service has sent out about 161 million third stimulus checks to eligible Americans as part of President Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. There are still some Americans who are still waiting for their stimulus payments to arrive, and that's just horrible. If you have not received your $1,200 first stimulus check, $600 second stimulus check, or your $1,400 third stimulus check, the IRS is urging you to file a federal tax return in order to claim your missing stimulus money. This is even if you do not usually file taxes. If you saw your income reduced or lost your job last year, the IRS suggests that you file a tax return as soon as possible. This is to guarantee that you will receive your stimulus payment or a plus-up payment. Also, if you had a child, got married, or could no longer be claimed as a dependent last year, you should file a tax return too. I know many of you are wondering whether you will receive a plus-up payment from the IRS. The plus-up payments are for people who did not get their entire payments from the first 3 rounds of federal stimulus checks. If you are owed more stimulus money, there are two ways that you can claim your funds. First, you can use a recovery rebate worksheet to calculate how much money you should receive from the original 2 checks and claim that amount on Form 1040 and Form 1040-SR when filing your tax returns. Then, that missing stimulus money will arrive as part of your refund check. If you already receive your smaller 3rd check, but you are owed more based on your 2020 tax returns, the IRS will automatically adjust the payment after you file your returns with a plus-up check. So you do not have to take any further action if you already filed your taxes for this year. I just want to remind all of you that the IRS extended the traditional tax filing deadline from April 15th to May 17th. The Internal Revenue Service is still warning that some people may receive smaller than expected adjustments. The agency said it would send a letter explaining any discrepancies, but noted it could cause a slight delay in processing the return. If you collect federal benefits, including Social Security, you should receive your stimulus checks automatically. But if you have gained a dependent this year or last year, you should file your return in order to provide the IRS with the most up-to-date information about your financial institution. This past Monday, Maryland Governor Larry Hogan advocated for a more narrowly focused infrastructure plan that would cut huge chunks out of the $2 trillion proposal that was put forward by President Joe Biden. The Republican governor also criticized the next phase of Biden's economic recovery plan, which is expected to be unveiled this week. According to multiple news sources, it will include tax hikes on the wealthiest Americans. During an interview on CNBC's Squawk Box, Hogan said, "We should separate out of all of this other family infrastructure they're talking about and all these massive tax hikes on the rich and on the corporations." Governor Hogan also stated, "Rebuilding America's infrastructure is a critical issue that we all agree on, and we all think it should be a bipartisan effort. We can agree on finding that middle ground. However, the second set of things that the president is apparently going to unveil for the first time on Wednesday is really not. Has nothing to do with infrastructure, and most of us think it should be handled separately." President Biden is set to unveil his American Families Plan this Wednesday. There are several provisions on the table that could provide additional financial relief to millions of Americans. The $1.8 trillion proposal is expected to be released before the president's address to Congress on Wednesday evening. It is said to extend the expanded child tax credit, including in the administration's stimulus package passed earlier this year. The Biden administration could definitely have a difficult time getting the plan through Congress. Democratic Senator Joe Manchin is emerging as a chief obstacle to quick passage of President Biden's $2.25 trillion infrastructure package. Joe Manchin is ramping up discussions with Republicans about a scaled-down infrastructure package and what it should look like. And some GOP senators are even optimistic that the moderate Democrat can be persuaded to block efforts to raise a corporate tax rate. That means Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer will likely have to wait for the negotiations to reach some kind of conclusion before moving ahead with the budget reconciliation process. Right now, Joe Manchin is a critical 50th Democratic vote that is needed to avoid a GOP filibuster.
To be joined by my colleagues, Senators Heinrich and King. We may be further. Senator Carper was going to join us to talk about the water bill, but he has to be on the floor to speak about it. And Senator Duckworth will be joining us, we think, shortly, as will Senator Markey. And there he is. Okay. After one of the most difficult years in recent memory, the first 100 days of the Biden presidency and the new Senate Democratic majority has seen the country turn a corner. Slowly but surely, we are proving to the American people that government and the Senate can work for them. And we're seeing shots in people, vaccines in people's arms. We're seeing money in their pockets. We're seeing small businesses and restaurants open up. We have begun in a very good way. And this week is no exception. We have a lot to do by the end of the week. We'll confirm several more highly qualified nominees to the executive branch. Our Senate committees will continue holding hearings and markups on at least a dozen other nominees. The Senate will also consider two important bipartisan environmental infrastructure policies this week. first, and Senator Carper couldn't be here to talk about it, but he's done a great job along with